Hello everybody, welcome to the Generic Cappy YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. I am Generic Cappy, and in today's YouTube video, we'll be talking about the newest Pokémon Presents that will be airing on August 8th, 2023, and my predictions for it. This Pokémon Presents will be airing on obviously August 8th, 2023, but at 9 a.m. EST, 6 a.m. PT, and 1300 UTC. So hopefully through those 3 times, you're able to calculate to your specific time zone, so you're able to watch the Pokemon Presents live. I am very excited for it. Obviously, you know, it's a Pokemon Presents. I'm very excited for any Pokemon Presents, but this one is especially exciting because it is 35 minutes long. You know, this will be the longest Pokemon Presents that we've ever had before, and I think in general the longest Pokemon presentation of this type that we've ever had, including the Pokemon Directs of the past. So you know, that's also very exciting. If you would want to compare it to like a Pokemon, not Pokemon, a Nintendo Direct, this is actually kind of comparable to some of the ones that we've gotten in the Nintendo Switch era, including one that I have looked at in the past, like the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct, the March 8th Nintendo Direct that revealed Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is really awesome. You know, you don't typically think you would see a presents like this long in, you know, for like obviously Pokemon, but you know, that means I guess they have a lot of things to show, or at least a lot of something to show in this presents. So I'm very excited for it. And yeah, so in this video, I'll be talking about my predictions for it, which obviously will include the things I think we will see, some of the things I don't think we'll see, and then obviously the things I would like to see in a Pokemon presents like this. And yeah, so let us get, you know, straight into it. I hope you all enjoy. If you do enjoy, by the end of this video, please please leave a like and comment down some of your predictions for the things that you would like to see in this Pokemon Presents. But let us get, you know, right into it. So the first place I would like to start with my predictions for this Pokemon Presents is from the mobile game space. Since the Pokemon Presents were invented in June 2020, we've been seeing, you know, a good amount of mobile games appear in these presentations. Before then, we were getting Pokemon Directs, so normally they wouldn't appear in the, I don't think they've actually ever appeared in Pokemon Directs, and that's understandable because those are Nintendo Direct, you know, subsets of Nintendo Direct. So you know, you'd expect mainly to only see Nintendo Switch games, Nintendo 3DS games, but you know, Pokemon Presents allow them to talk about the whole franchise as a whole, and that obviously does include mobile games. You know, way back when it was Pokemon Unite and Pokemon Smile, and now we have a good amount of Pokemon mobile games that they're talking about. And the first one I want to talk about is Pokemon Masters EX, because technically we knew about this Pokemon Presents a couple of days ago, because the if you went into the code after Pokemon Masters was updated a couple days ago, you could not only see that Nemona was being added to the game eventually, which that actually, I mean, I don't know if that's directly connected to the Pokemon Presents. You know, I just wanted to mention it, you know, just in case it is. You know, I think that probably is going to be one of the characters they add to Pokemon Masters, but it did also mention that there would be a campaign for a Pokemon Presents. So, you know, we kind of knew about it. I think we also knew the date and around the time that would be happening. So, you know, still, I think of, you know, any mobile game that's guaranteed, or any mobile game that could appear in the Pokemon Presents, Pokemon Masters is probably the one that's guaranteed. And yeah, I think we'll see, you know, a couple of new trainers added to the game, Nemona, maybe some of the other Gen 8, you know, rival type characters, Penny and Arven. You know, maybe we'll see, you know, maybe one of the gym leaders, maybe a Team Star member. Maybe we'll see, you know, Champion Gita added to the game. You know, who knows? But you know, I think it'd be kind of cool to, you know, see, you know, more trainers being added. Normally they use these Pokemon Presents as a like midway point. Well, not a midway point, but like a either a full year anniversary or like a half year anniversary. And you know, they usually do a campaign associated with that. So I'm assuming that's what this Pokemon Presents campaign will kind of be. Like, I think it'll be like the 4th or 5th year anniversary for the game, which is, you know, in itself really cool that Pokemon Masters had made it 4 to 5 years. And you know, normally they add new characters. You know, they do an event that gives you more gems that you can, you know, use on some of the mechanics to get more characters for your Pokemon Masters team. And yeah, so I think that's a pretty big lock for this to present. I don't know how long that would be. Again, the Pokemon Presents is 35 minutes long, so there's a lot of things that they could show in it. Again, that's comparable to a full Nintendo Direct, in recent years. So that's a good amount. So I don't know how big of presence or importance Pokemon Masters will be in this presentation, but again, I think it is the mobile game that it has the most has the highest chance, or is practically guaranteed to appear in the presents. Other than that, though, there isn't really any guarantees of Pokemon, any mobile games that appear in the presents. Obviously, there's suspicion that Pokemon Unite will appear in the presents. We'll probably get, I believe they've already started adding Mega Mewtwo forms. So I think they've added one. So, again, we'll probably see the other one in this presentation. The one thing I did not mention was the amazingly cool video that they released with this, with the announcement, where it was like the normal screen you usually see when they announce Pokemon Presents, the normal logo and the normal date, and they do the normal tweet, but it's like a video because it like glitches out and it goes to like a neon form of the logo. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about how that's a pretty big reference, like something Mewtwo happening in this present. And even though I'm not as inclined to believe that, I do somewhat believe it, based on what I've heard about like them adding one of the forms of Mega Mewtwo already to the Pokemon Unite game, and this could be another time to add Mega Mewtwo, the other mega form for Mega Mewtwo, the other mega form from Mewtwo. I believe they've already added X, so they would add Y, Mega Mewtwo Y, and obviously with there's a couple of other events that a Mewtwo could appear in, or other games that Mewtwo could appear in to have an event in. So this could be a Mewtwo focused Pokemon Presents. Obviously, in the June 2023 Nintendo Direct, we saw Mewtwo in the the Detective Pikachu Returns game trailer. So we could see Mewtwo again in a trailer like that. But yeah, this presents could have a major focus on Mewtwo. We might even get some Mewtwo plushes announced for all we know. But I think we'll probably see a couple new Pokemon added to Pokemon Unite, or at least like a little bit of a roadmap going into the future for the game. Maybe we'll see a new stage. Maybe we'll see a new mode. I think they showed off those things they showed off similar things in the last Pokemon Presents in February of this year, so I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I think it goes from Pokemon Masters being a guarantee to like a different tier of mobile games. So we get Pokemon Unite. Pokemon Go may or may not get an update in this presents, just because I feel like they're already doing a good amount of events in Pokemon Go, so they might just talk about what they're already doing, but I don't know if they would announce anything new. Maybe they'll announce that you can like catch like the first Gen 9 Pokemon in the game. Maybe you can get like some of the starters, or maybe a specific, I guess you can already get Gimmighoul in the game. So I guess, I don't actually know. I don't know what they would show in it from Pokemon Go in the presents, but Pokemon Go obviously has a chance to show up. Pokemon Cafe Mix has a chance to show up. Cafe Remix now, which is really cool. I played Cafe Remix for a good amount of time. I did stop eventually, but it is a really cool game. It's a cool pick up and play game. They could show that off again. Maybe they add a couple of new Pokemon that you can get to add to your roster in the cafe. And then, we have a couple mobile games. Pokemon Sleep just recently released. They could give a more wider roadmap to that game. Obviously thank players for downloading the game and been, tracking their sleep. Maybe they have a certain amount of hours they're going to show of how many hours of sleep has been collected from the game thus far. I don't know if they'll do that though, but because that might weird some people out. But yeah, so I think Pokemon Sleep can show up here with a roadmap. I think that really kind of is the major mobile presence for Pokemon right now. Maybe they announced a new mobile game. That's a little more speculative, so we'll get into that a little later in the video. But yeah, there's a good amount of content they could show for mobile stuff. And yeah, so but now we can talk about some other things on mobile. I think we're gonna go into merchandise. Some of the merchandise they could talk about in this Presents now. Something that I found really interesting in the last Pokemon Presents from February of this year was that they did spend a good amount of time focusing on things that weren't just video games. Normally they do mention those type of things in Pokemon Presents, but they don't really give it like too much time. In the February of 2023 Pokemon Presents, we got the announcement of the TCG Classic set. We got Pokemon Sierge, and we got a advertisement for Pokemon Worlds, which at the time of this Pokemon Presents will be happening. I think that's starting that Friday, maybe that Thursday. So Pokemon Worlds is not that far away. Even at the time of this recording, it's not that far away. It's about like a week away, which is really that's really interesting. But we might see some stuff at Pokemon Worlds as well. Maybe they'll mention it Pokemon Worlds. And let's get into that. Maybe they'll mention Pokemon Worlds here as like a small advertisement. Maybe to talk about some of the things they will be doing there. Say please tune in some tournaments that they'll be hosting. Maybe they'll tease that they're gonna have some extra information at the end of in the closing ceremony for the event, just because I believe at every Pokemon Worlds in recent memory, they have had something show up at the opening at the closing ceremony. Last year, it was the reveal of Silazar and a couple of the more competitive based, items and moves that it's in the game, as well as they did reveal the newest, or they not anymore, but they revealed like the beginning of what the Scarlet and Violet set would look like for TCG in the closing ceremony. And they've done stuff like that before in previous ones. They did reveal a couple new Pokemon in other worlds. They reveal, I think they revealed Mega Kangaskhan at a Pokemon Worlds event. And they've also done just normal trailers, not normal trailers, but more trailers that are oriented towards the competitive at Pokemon Worlds, which is really cool. So we get, as fans that maybe are not too much in the competitive, we still get something. But obviously, the competitive does get a lot of information from those trailers. So yeah, I think we'll see at least something for Pokemon Worlds in this Presents. Probably just an advertisement. Maybe if there's something to buy online, they'll talk about that. Maybe I think they've already released or announced the Pikachu plush that you can buy, as a representation of Pokemon Worlds 2023. So maybe they'll talk about that. There's a lot of things I guess they talk about for in an advertisement for Pokemon Worlds. But obviously, as I mentioned earlier, that's not the only non-gaming thing that they talked about in the last Pokemon Presents. And I believe that won't be the only thing they talk about from this Pokemon Presents that's non-gaming. I think we will see, maybe the first teaser for Pokemon Cerealage. I don't think I said that right, but the claymation Pokemon show from Netflix. I believe we might see the first teaser from that. Especially if it's coming out this year, later in this year, this would be a good presentation to show something like that from. And then I think maybe we might even see the next a small teaser of Pokemon, the trading card game Classic, just like they did in the last Presents. They didn't mention that the next time we would see it is at Pokemon Worlds, but maybe that's a little teaser that they do talk about Pokemon Worlds in. They're like, please tune into the closing ceremony as we will reveal the first official look at Pokemon TCG Classic. Maybe that's the TCG thing for the closing ceremony. So that'd be kind of cool. And then maybe they'll talk about some other merchandising options. Maybe they'll talk about a new shirt that they'll be releasing. Maybe they'll talk about some new music, something like that. Those things are less likely, but again, this isn't a Pokemon Direct anymore, where they just mainly focus only on Pokemon games coming to the Nintendo 3DS and Nintendo Switch. You get a lot of things for Pokemon now, and that does also explain why this Presents maybe 35 minutes long. Though in itself, I guess that actually kind of explains it, because in itself, the Pokemon Presents from earlier this year was around, it was in the 20s. So if we get a full teaser for the next, we get a full teaser and explanation for the Scarlet and Violet DLC, which I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but And then, something similar for the Pokemon Detective Pikachu Returns game, that's pretty comparable. 5 minutes extra there, 5 minutes extra there. We could be at the 35-minute mark. Again, that depends on how much they really show of other stuff. And then how much talking, I guess, they do. They do tend to want to talk about, the history of Pokemon sometimes, which is really cool. It's always really cool just to hear from, the people behind the series, just to talk about, how they're feeling about it, I guess. But yeah, the merchandising thing is a little weird, a little different. I know other presentations from other gaming companies also do that, or also multimedia companies also do that. So, it's not something that's unique to the Pokemon Presents, but it is, when comparing it to Pokemon Directs, it's always really interesting just to see how much Pokemon Directs, Pokemon Presents are really that different. But yeah, that is all I really have for merchandising. So, let's get into the main part of this predictions video, and that is the video games, for Nintendo Switch and possibly into the future. And then, my own personal predictions of things that I think we will see, what I would like to see in this Pokemon Presents. So alongside the mobile games and the merchandise for the Pokemon franchise, there is obviously also Nintendo Switch games. Right now we know about Detective Pikachu Returns and the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, the Teal Mask, and the Indigo Disc. And in this Pokemon Presents, I do expect to see all 3 of these different projects appear in this Pokemon Presents. Basically, through trailers and more in-depth looks, through narration and everything. In a lot of ways, I expect this to be similar to the Pokemon Direct from January 2020, where they announced the remake of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team Deluxe, and where they spent the beginning of that Direct talking about that. We got a little bit of a more in-depth dialogue for the game, talking about, what the game is, so maybe, I don't remember if they talked about anything that was new. They also released a demo for the game. Maybe they'll release a demo for Detective Pikachu Returns. The game does come out by the time this presents airs, it's about 2 months into the game launches, so they could release a demo later in the day, not later in the day, but maybe later in the month if they want to release that. But and then later in the second part of the Direct was only focused on the DLC, and I could see them doing that with this Presents. The first 10 minutes is on merchandise and the mobile games, and then the last 20-ish minutes, 25 minutes is the Nintendo Switch games, Detective Pikachu Returns and the DLC, and that'd be pretty cool. For Detective Pikachu Returns, obviously I think we see a trailer. I think we see some more story information. I think we see how the game moves forward after the first game on the 3DS. If maybe they'll mention if there's a little bit of a narration at the beginning of the game where they talk about what happened in the first game, so you don't have to go play it, or you don't have to watch a video on it or something. You basically just get everything that you need from that dialogue, and then you move forward into the rest of the game. And then obviously I think we're gonna get more in-depth look at it. This is probably the main push for the game. Obviously from the Nintendo Direct we did get a trailer, but we haven't really heard much about it since then. And then even before that Nintendo Direct, we hadn't heard about it since 2018. So 5 years, we didn't really hear much about it. We get that trailer, and now there's probably the major push for it, and that's pretty good. I've been seeing in some places that maybe they might re-release the first game on the Switch. That's gonna go a little bit more in the prediction section, or what the things we don't know. But I think that'd be kind of cool. But I think either that or the a little bit of a video at the beginning of the game where they just talk about what happened in the previous game, just to give a little bit of a summary about it so you can play this game. If they're really that connected, then I think either of them makes sense. But besides that, obviously the major part that presents for a lot of people will be the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Getting another trailer for that, a lot more information, with an in-depth look at the DLC. And I think that's what a major part of this presentation will just be. That direct, that trailer and like the in-depth dialogue about the game and the game's DLC. We'll probably see some new Pokemon outside the ones they've already revealed for the DLC. If there's any new Pokemon in the DLC, I'm not really sure if there is. We might see, if there is, we'll see. Like, if I had to make a guess, we'll probably see a new Paradox Swarm and maybe a new regional. Because I don't think they release I don't think they're gonna reveal like any new Pokemon that isn't like based on another Pokemon. Because like Convergence were, Paradoxes were. I think so. I think we'll see a new Paradox. We haven't seen one yet at all for either of the DLC, so I think we'll see one new Paradox, maybe for each of them. There hasn't been any confirmation that the Entei, Suicune, Cobalion, or Terrakion are getting Paradox Swarms, like Suicune and Virizion did. I think it'd be kind of cool. They also announced that here. That could be, the major reveal for the DLC for Pokemon wise. But besides that, I don't really know what else they would reveal in the presents, new Pokemon wise. But yeah, then they can also talk about, if they're adding, I guess the amount of Pokemon they'd be adding from the older games back into this game. How big the Pokédex will be. They probably won't mention that. They didn't really mention that the first DLC, but the Sword and Shield DLC, but, we'll definitely see Pokemon from older games that we did not know were in these games just yet. Just because that is a big thing that they like to do with this DLC, is they just basically add the older Pokemon back, find them in the wild. I like that about these because with older games, there tends to be obviously some Pokemon that just aren't in the game. You have to transfer them in, but with older games, not every Pokemon was found. You couldn't find every Pokemon in the main world. With overworld, you had to transfer some of them in to get like the full national dex, or just a full Pokedex. So I do like that you can find almost every single Pokemon in the game actually in the game. I think that's pretty cool. Obviously, if you have both versions, that's possible. I don't think you can. Obviously, you can't find every single Pokemon if you just have one version. But I do like that they have all the Pokemon in the game, all the beginning, for the most part. Outside like the starters and legendaries and everything. I think that's really cool. So I do like that mechanic of the DLC. I think that's a good way to introduce all the Pokemon back. Obviously, not all the Pokemon will come back in Scarlet and Violet. Just like the same thing with Sword and Shield. They didn't add every single Pokemon from the other games back. But I do think we'll probably be around like 700 in the game by the time the both DLCs are released. And they might mention that in this Presents. But, we'll get the trailer. We'll probably get a lot more story information about the DLC. We might get, obviously, like a new Pokemon, like I mentioned earlier. We'll probably find out more about the characters. I think we do get a trailer for both the DLCs and not just one. I think if they were just going to focus on the Teal Mask, because obviously that's the one that's coming out first. So if there is going to be a focus on one of the DLCs, it will be the Teal Mask. But I don't think that would be an exclusive focus. I think we will see both of them. We'll probably get a release date for the Teal Mask. If I had to guess, it will be, I don't know, the middle of September. I think it would be kind of interesting, since there is, there's a pretty good likelihood that we will also get a full Nintendo Direct in September. I think it would be kind of cool if they shadow drop the DLCs in the Nintendo Direct. I don't think they will, but just because, that's just not something that they usually do. They haven't really ever shadow dropped the DLCs except, we've only had 2 examples, but with the Isle of Armor, we pretty much had an understanding that it would be coming out that day. And then the Crown Challenger, they did like a presentation type video, and then they released the DLC like 2 or 3 weeks later. So I don't really think that they would shadow drop it. I guess technically, them giving a release date, and then that leak release date is the Nintendo Direct, isn't really a shadow drop, but I think they would drop it separately than like outside of a presentation. I think that's what I'm trying to say. But you know, I think that'd be kind of cool. That's just like a weird idea that they could do, but I think Nintendo Direct probably will also have a lot more information that might distract from the DLC, so they probably won't want to do that. I think we also get an updated range on the Indigo Disc's release date. Right now they're both slated for the Teal Mask is in fall and the Indigo Disc is in winter. I think maybe we get an updated range. Like they give the Teal Mask like a full release date, and then we get like a month for the Indigo Disc. You know, that month may be November, December, or it might even be January, February. That is, I think, if it is February next year, I could see it being shadow dropped all the way in February for the Pokemon Presents in February for 2024, the Pokemon Day Presents. But that's the only time I really see something like this being shadow dropped. I don't think it would be shadow dropped in a Nintendo Direct. I'm not really sure if that's even a question, but it was something I thought about because they have been a little bit more inclined to be doing shadow drops in Nintendo Directs now with Pikmin and Metroid Prime Remastered. So, you know, it wouldn't be out of the possibility, but I don't think it's very likely for Nintendo Direct to have a shadow drop for Pokemon DLC. And you know, that's not even related to this Pokemon Presents, but I just figured that'd be kind of cool to mention. But yeah, that is pretty much, I mean, you know, that is all the stuff we really know that exists in the franchise of Pokemon. That could get updates. Obviously, like I mentioned, Masters. You know, they could add Nimona and Penny and Arven. If they want to add, like, if they want to begin like the implementation of Gen 9 characters. Pokemon Go, they could add like a new Gen 8 Pokemon or Gen 9 Pokemon, Gen 8 Pokemon. I think I also might have said Gen 8 characters, but Gen 9 characters. You know, we already have Gimmighoul in Pokemon Go. They could add some other Pokemon from Gen 9. Maybe if they want to add like a convergent species, you know, something that's, you know, just so it's a little more, you know, just so if somebody hasn't played Scarlet and Violet, they can be like, whoa, that's like a new form for like Wooper, or not Wooper, for Tentacruel, and yeah, Tentacruel, and Tentacool, and stuff like that. And then what was other convergent species? We had that, and then Wiglet and Diglett. You know, I think that'd be kind of cool, and Wugtrio. But you know, they could add like those, and that'd be like, oh, a new form. And then maybe even add Paldean Warper and Quagsire, because you know that can make kind of cool. Or Clodsire, that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, that is all pretty much what we already know about Pokemon. So I just want to spend this last part of the video just talking about what things I think, you know, could be announced. You know, it's just like a predictions thing. You know, some things I would want to see announced. But yeah, you know, let's get right into that, I guess. So yeah, I mean, what's really exciting about a lot of these presentations is that we don't exactly know what's going to show up, if there's going to be any surprises. And I think that's, you know, that's like what this last part of this video should be, as I mentioned earlier. Just talking about, you know, any surprise we might see. You know, maybe not even surprises, maybe just like anything cool that hasn't been announced before. I guess they would also be just, I think they would just be also surprises, but you know, there's been some things that have been rumored. But yeah, I mean, obviously I think the first thing would be just talking about like, will we see anything mainline outside of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that's like new? And I don't really think so. You can't ever say never. I mean, you never say never, but I think that obviously they probably want to focus on Scarlet and Violet just for the rest of this year. You know, probably in the Pokemon Day presentation next year, we will see what is next for the mainline series. But I don't think we will see it here. I mean, it is 35 minutes long, so you know, they could have like a, you know, here's a one last thing type teaser, and it's just like a 5 second, not 5 second, maybe like a minute teaser of like what exactly is going to be next year's main game. If they do want to announce it early, I mean, I guess the one thing a lot of people are expecting is that next year's game is going to be like a Legends type game, and they did give Legends a 13-ish month. Well, no, they gave Legends like an 11-month like hype cycle or like marketing cycle. So if they really want to do that, I guess they could do that again. You know, it would be a little bit longer because it'll be announcing in August. It'd probably come out in November. Well, actually, you know what? One more thing about it. You know, maybe we do see it here because technically, I don't think they'll be releasing it the same month as the next console for Nintendo and would be released. And I know there's a lot of assumptions made either between September and November based on the report this past week. You know, so I don't think, and I think, I know they did that with Pokemon Black and White, and then obviously Black and White 2 released the year after, but obviously I think those games were already in development for DS. Obviously Pokemon Black and White came out in Japan in 2010, so they weren't out yet. The Nintendo 3DS wasn't out yet before when those games released in Japan. And then, you know, it's much easier just to take those games and just do what you wanted to change for Pokemon Black and White 2 and just just release them on the DS again. Obviously, and you could still just play those games on your 3DS. So, but I don't think they would, even though Pokemon Black and White did release the same month as the 3DS in the US and I think in other places across the world, I do think, you know, it would be kind of weird to release a new Pokemon game and it not be on the next console. You know, again, they did also deal with Ultra Sun and Moon, but I think that'd be kind of weird. Well, Ultra Sun and Moon did release like like 8 months after the Switch released, but you know, to release it like really close to the next console, I think that'd be kind of weird. So, you know, maybe they do release it maybe in the summer, like a new Legends game, and that would be pretty, you know, that would be like, they could make that like 11 months, you know, 11 months hype cycle, marketing cycle. And so if that's the case, maybe they do reveal it here. I kind of still expect it in the summer, and I'm in like whatever the next game is to be in the Pokemon Day Presents next year. But then again, also if they reveal that late in that direct, you know, that Presents, maybe it doesn't. I mean, it's all kind of confusing with this new with the new report of the next console aiming to be next year in the holiday, you know, late 2024 section. So who knows? Maybe they do reveal it here. I think that'd be kind of cool. But I mean, I'm not banking on it, but I think that'd be kind of cool. And obviously for me, it would be, you know, obviously I don't think we're gonna get to see Gen 10 yet. I think Gen 10 will be more of a 2025, 2026 thing. But I think it will be. I think we will be revisiting a region. For me, it would be Unova. I know a lot of people would be the same thing, but you know, I think it'd be kind of cool to get a Legends Unova. Obviously, I don't know. They can't do the same thing that they did with Legends exactly. Cause they probably have to switch it up a little bit. But you know, I know a lot of people have been theorizing maybe we go in the future instead. I think that'd be kind of cool. You know, maybe one game goes in the past, one game goes in the future. If they still want to do like a dual release type of thing. Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool. Obviously they can also do the same thing with Gen 2, Gen 3, maybe even Gen 6 and Gen 7, but you know, for me it'd be Gen 5, a Legends Gen 5 game. I think that'd be kind of cool. You know, Gen 5 is really where a lot of the major spin-offs that I really enjoyed came from. You know, Pokemon Rumble Blast came from that generation. Pokemon Conquest came from generation. I think maybe Pokepark came in Gen 4, but you know, we also did have an entry for Pokepark in Gen 5. You know, all this is really cool. You know, we got some really cool stuff in Gen 5. So it, you know, I think it'd be kind of interesting. You know, if we do see a Legends Gen 5 game in general, but especially if it's here, that'd be like a really good moment, a really cool moment. Even if it's not like a full trailer or just like a small little teaser type of thing. But you know, as I mentioned earlier, we could also see a bunch of different other games from mainline. We could also see like a Let's Go game from Johto. I know that's also been like some rumors out there, not rumors, but you know, some speculation that maybe we see Let's Go Johto game. I kind of feel like maybe it's a little too late for that now. Just because it has been 5 years since, it has been 5 years since Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. You know, I don't know how much. I mean, obviously that's like a, you know, that's like a slot in type of game where you can just put that game there. So I guess there doesn't need to be like a a certain schedule to them, but I do feel like, you know, it was, unless they really refine it, I don't know if it would do as good as Gen 1's Let's Go Pikachu and AV games. But who knows, you know, I think that'd be kind of cool still. Obviously, like any Legend game would be kind of cool. You know, by chance if we see Gen 10, I mean, that'd be crazy. I don't think that, I definitely won't do that in this Presents, because we still haven't finished Gen 9 yet, but, you know, still really cool. But yeah, if I had to put like actual like credence to, or like thought into like an actual mainland game showing up in this Presents, I think it would be something for Gen 5 or Gen 2 or something like that. Something in that range. Not like an actual like mainland game, but like a Legends type game appearing in the Presents. What that also does then lend, you know, another thing to talk about, it being the spin-offs. We could see a new Mystery Dungeon game. I would be very excited for that. I think, honestly, personally, we will see at least one new game here. Just because, you know, the last Presents did not reveal any new games. You know, they could have revealed Detective Pikachu Returns in that Presents at the beginning of the year, but they didn't. And that makes me think that maybe there actually is like another new game of some sort in this Presents, and obviously revealing re-revealing Detective Pikachu Returns might have taken away from that, or maybe this game would take away from that this reveal. And for me, it would be either a new Pokemon Rumble Blast, or not Rumble Blast, but like a new Pokemon Rumble series game. A new Pokemon Conquest would be amazing. That is my favorite spin-off series, even though it only has one game. I really like Pokemon Conquest. You know, Pokemon Ranger maybe. I don't really know how possible that is right now on the Nintendo Switch, like the current form of the Nintendo Switch. You know, another Pokepark would also be really cool. Yeah, so I mean, the most likely is probably a new Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, just because that is the most popular of the spin-off series, and you know, it could be either a remake or a new game. You know, obviously I think a remake would be of Explorers of Skies, which would be really cool. Explorer Sky, but yeah, that would be really cool if they were to do something like that. A new game would obviously be really cool. But yeah, you know, would I take a remake of Pokemon Conquest? Yes, I would. A new game would also be really good. But you know, anything Pokemon Conquest would be amazing. Obviously new Pokepark, new Pokemon Rumble. We could see, you know, again, much more speculation than actual like knowledge on if they would do something like this, but you know, a new Pokemon Stadium type game would be really awesome. I know a rumor went like a couple of years back, maybe a year or two back, but that they were working on a new like type of battling type game, like Pokemon Battle Revolution, like a game like that, to release on Nintendo Switch, just so like that'd be like a more competitive based game. I think that'd be kind of cool if they were to go back to do that. You know, it also may make it easier just to do competitive instead of solely relying on these games, to have like a actual battler like that connects to the online. You can do like all your battles through that. I think that'd be kind of cool. But again, I don't know how likely that is. You know, again, it would be cool if they like did that, and then like there was some story elements to it. Like I think there was like battles in Pokemon Battle Revolution that like you had pre-built teams, and you could like transfer your own team. You can like battle like actual characters from that game in the game. And I think that's really cool if they were to do that again. You know, they could also make it just like a, you know, pretty fun side game, alongside like a Pokemon battler, which would be really awesome. And then, I mean, obviously there's other spin-offs out there. You know, are we gonna get another Pokemon Pikachu teaches typing type game? Probably not, but you know, I had to mention it. I haven't talked about any mobile games that could be revealed here. You know, it's if predicting new games for Nintendo Switch, or you know, even possibly we may see. Actually, I doubt it, but you know, any games that, well, I guess technically if this system is backwards compatible in the future, these games could be played on the next console. But you know, any like future Nintendo console games, if that's this difficult to try to predict, I don't want to really predict anything mobile wise, just because that is extremely hard to predict because they could do anything in the mobile field. But I kind of think that they would reveal just a Nintendo Switch game. If we do see, it is possible they reveal one mobile game and one new Nintendo Switch game. And I think that'd be kind of cool. That'd be a good balance. But again, this presents, even though it is 35 minutes, I guess it also, you can also say it is only 35 minutes, and that's not a lot of time to reveal, 2 new games, give in-depth looks at the DLC and Detective Pikachu Returns, and as well as giving updates to all the mobile games. So, we'll see. We'll see about all that. And then the last thing I guess you can also talk about, game-wise, is that will we see the older Game Boy Advance games come to Nintendo Switch online? I know that was a lot of discussion with the last Presents, and a lot of people were let down because technically, like the intro or like the announcement video did kind of tease something like that. I'm not really sure if we got any fulfillment on that tease of any kind. It wasn't really a tease. It was just like a callback to Gen 1 with it being Pokemon Days, Pokemon Presents. But I think it is possible. Obviously, by now we've had Game Boy and Game Boy Advance on NSO for just about 6 months. So it's not something that's not possible, I don't think. But I also kind of do feel like maybe they want to release that on their own. That the Game Boy games did come to the 3DS late into the life cycle. I believe Red, Blue, and Yellow came in 2016. Just about a year before the Switch launched, and then I believe Crystal, Gold, and Silver came a year later. So we are late into the Nintendo Switch launch. Nintendo Switch's lifespan. We could see the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games come to Switch, as well as I think we're still missing Stadium 2, maybe even Stadium 1. But I think we're at least still missing Stadium 2, and I think we're missing Pokemon Trading Card Game for the Game Boy. So we could also see some of those things. I was talking to my friend about this earlier, and this is normally Nintendo does kind of push the Pokemon Presents, but they did post it on their Instagram stories, and they did retweet it. So there's definitely going to be something for the Nintendo Switch in this presentation, if that is just the DLC and Pokemon Detective Pikachu Returns, or something new, NSO, or just a new game. Who knows? But I do think the guarantees are Detective Pikachu Returns and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's DLC showing up in this Presents. Maybe something more. On other means, we could also see a new clip from the anime. That's not guaranteed. Especially they still talk about I don't really want to mispronounce the name again, but the live action stop motion Netflix series for Pokemon. If they show that off, I don't know if they really want to show off also the anime at the same time. They could though. And then maybe, again, I kind of alluded to this earlier, maybe we'll see some new merchandise for the Pokemon series appear in this Presents. But there's a lot of things out there that can appear in this Direct. Obviously we won't know until the present happens. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have for this prediction video. I want to thank you all for watching again. Again, there is a lot of stuff that we could see in this Presents. There's a lot of stuff that we may not see in this Presents. There's a lot of stuff we probably won't see in this Presents. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know that was possible appearing in Pokemon Presents, and now it will appear in the Pokemon Presents probably. Maybe, not probably, maybe. But yeah, that is all I have for you all today. So I hope you all are doing well and staying safe again. Make sure you're happy, because that rhymes with generic happy, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Which probably the next one will be a reaction to the Pokémon Presents on Tuesday. So I will see you on then. But again, make sure you're doing happy, because I'm generic happy, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.